Cancelled.
Schweezy.
It's time for ex-evangelical content.
What?
The content that I do because it does really well on this show and y'all seem to like. So I'm going to keep doing it until y'all say to stop. This week I'm going over, I want to talk about, because I watched, last night I watched it actually, instead of watching the Super Bowl, because I didn't really give a shit about the Super Bowl. I watched The Eyes of Tammy Faye. It was on HBO Max, home box office. Max, that I watched. Maybe Max is short for maximum. I watched that yesterday. It was a great movie. I gotta say, I really enjoyed the program. What is this movie? You may ask. Well, it stars Jessica Chastain and Andrew Garfield. And I think I got to make this statement public right now. That if I had to buy one celebrity's underwear, it would be Jessica Chastain's. One, she seems like a very clean woman, which I prefer. I like good hygiene. And I feel like her dirty underwear wouldn't be that bad. I don't know, for me. And I don't know. She has that good look. She has those good looks where it's like, I think her underwear would be good. You know, you meet some grosser women, you know, that's what some people like their underwear. I'm like, nah, I think Jessica Chastain would have great underwear. We also have Andrew Garfield. He you may know him. He was in a movie called Tick, Tick, Boom on Netflix. I haven't watched that one yet. That's on my list. He was also in a movie called The Amazing Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which people are now saying are good movies, but back when they came out, I remember I was there. Because I love Spider-Man. Back when they came out, people did not like those movies because they're like, it's not the MCU. And they're like, anything that's not the MCU is bad. And now everyone's like, oh, you know, the Zack Snyder DC movies were actually pretty good. And I'm like, well, you really hated them back then because they weren't the MCU. And now everyone wishes the Snyderverse would come back and the Webverse would come back. And it's funny because, yes, I do think that I love Andrew Garfield. There was no debate on if Andrew Garfield was a good Spider-Man. He was a great Spider-Man. We all know this. It's always been confirmed. You watch any of those movies, you're like, yeah, he was a great Spider-Man. But the movies themselves were probably the worst Spider-Man movies that have probably come out. Let's be honest, they had some great parts to them, but to be honest, they were probably the weakest of all the Spider-Mans of the world. And it's funny because the director's name is Mark Webb, and you think someone with the last name Webb would make a good Spider-Man movie, yet he made the worst Spider-Man movies. I don't know. I think the universe was just too edgy. I don't know. I don't mind it though. I really hope they bring Andrew back as like the Spider-Man in like the Venomverse movies. You know, I think those would be really cool. But anyways, though, there's always so much to do, so much to see. We're not talking about Spider-Man, though. We're talking about Tammy Faye, played by Jessica Chastain, whose underwear I would buy. I just want everyone to know that. I'm making a big statement on that. And I think she is like, of women actors, I think she's like the Ryan Reynolds of women actors. I feel like women all want to bang her, you know? I feel like, at least, I think Jessica Chastain's up there. You know, she seems like one of those people who doesn't smell bad, you know, who just naturally does not smell bad. She could be one of those people who just, you know, doesn't wear deodorant and you just wouldn't notice. Or she does a really good job at making sure she doesn't smell bad. Either way, I don't think she smells bad. I just don't think it is a possibility that she smells bad in our world. At least not in this universe, in other ones. But I think it's very interesting that she did go on to play Tammy Faye, who at the end of her life had crazy makeup. Like she had like tattooed eyeliner and lip liner on. And, you know, I get the idea with the bad makeup that you're like, you know, I put this on every day. Why don't I just get it like permanently put on and it'll make things better? But I don't think tattoo ink and makeup really work the same way and you just look crazy. That's why, you know, when you age gracefully, you look good. Sometimes, and like I always say with plastic surgery and stuff like that, you only notice the bad ones. You never notice the good ones. And that is 100% of a fact. And looking at Tammy Faye that is something you can definitely notice in regards to her and how she does her show and everything on this movie. But no, I have to say straight up though, Jessica Chastain, Andrew Garfield, super great in this movie. I encourage everyone to watch it, and it's super interesting. Even if you're not ex-evangelical, it's like a super interesting thing to do. And the fact that Jessica Chastain says that the makeup they had to use for this film, it really hurt her skin. It says something about her as an actor that there is something, an artist, you would damage yourself a little bit for the art and stuff like that. Music. Ben Folds said greatly in one of his songs, seems what's been good for the music hasn't always been so good for the life. And that's a very true statement. I'm telling you right here, folks. Seems what's been good for the music hasn't always been so good for the life. Could be said about the actor. Seems what's been good for the actor hasn't always been so good for the life. There's a lot of artistic things you do here, and I don't know. I feel like Andrew Garfield's great too, but this movie, the main character is Jessica Chastain, who overall just fucking was brilliant at this. And we're celebrating Jessica Chastain, and I'm talking about her as if like people were like, you just want to bang Jessica Chastain. I'm like, do you think I have a chance with Jessica Chastain? And I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about personality here, because women don't care as much about looks. They care more about personality. Do you think Jessica Chastain would put up with my bullshit? Do you think that's a possibility right now? I go up to her and be like, hey, watch this video of this old man jerking off. Do you think Jessica Chastain would deal with that shit? No, she wouldn't. But anyway, so let's talk about the movie. Look, I'm not going to spoil the movie for anyone, so don't worry about that. But I am going to talk about it. In regards to like televangelism, that was never really part of my life at all. Like my parents would watch a couple, but it was always just kind of like interesting. They kind of wanted to watch and see like that. My mom would like watch like Beth Moore, and God, she watches Joel Osteen. Sometimes when she's working out in the morning. She's like, oh, and she's on his side after, him hiding his money in the bathroom walls. I'm like, it's like she thinks it's an accident or whatever. Joel Osteen's not a good person, FYI. But they don't like send them money, so that's a good thing. They don't send these people money, which is very good. So I've never had anything like this, but Jim Bakker and Tammy Faye, they were their kingdom fell before I was really born, because I think it fell in 1989, and I was born in 1993. So a little bit past my time, and it's not one of those things that like people would watch reruns of them or something like that. After they hear about that, they would definitely not be replaying any of their shit. And then, but also in the movie were Pat Robertson and Jerry Falwell Sr. Pat Robertson, very well known. He is still the host of the 700 Club, which is crazy shit that he's still around, and he's still on the air because he's kind of crazy. Jerry Falwell Sr. is on. You know his son Jerry Falwell Jr., who is famous for being a cuck, who I guess his wife would have sex with a pool boy, and he enjoyed watching, which, I don't know, I don't want to kink, we're famous on this show for kink shaming, but I guess but we can kink shame Jerry Falwell Jr., because it's funny, but his dad, Jerry Falwell Sr., was played by Vincent D'Onofrio. I know him, I know he was in the first Men in Black movie, but he's very famous for playing Kingpin, because this is a recent movie, and recently he played Kingpin, first on the Netflix Marvel Daredevil, and he was recently on the Hawkeye season finale, and I assume going forward he will be continuing to play Kingpin, because he is so good at playing Kingpin. But I'm so used to him as Kingpin, it's like, why is Jerry Falwell Jr., he reminds me of Kingpin, because Jerry Falwell Jr., Senior, not Junior, he was he was very powerful in Christian media, and I guess Jerry Falwell Jr., I guess was Liberty University, probably not that much anymore, but probably used to be. All these guys have weird sex things that's going on, and that's what I would say to anyone going into televangelism. And this was like the height of televangelism. I don't know how big it is today. It's not as, I mean, the big guys are still pretty big, but I don't think it's as big as it was in like the 70s, 80s. It's just funny going on here. Well, yeah, no. So I see him as Kingpin, and so he's like, in the Netflix Daredevil show, he kills someone by slamming a car door in his head. So it's like weird seeing him as Jerry Sr. as so intimidating figure. But he kind of gives off gay vibes to me. If you're like, I know a lot of people are like, I'm against gay people, it's like, that's whatever. But if you bring it up without it kind of like naturally coming up, you bring it up a lot, like you're probably gay. That's just I think Jerry Sr. might have been gay, or a little bit bisexual. But he kind of like, it's weird. Like after the Jim Bakker, used, studio money or whatever. And some of it were with men for sex and stuff like that. And some of it with men. I tried doing research on the gay stuff, but I couldn't find much. Or I didn't Google hard enough. Someone else may be a little bit better on that. But I did not find a ton of things on that. Yeah, so it's kind of Jerry, because it kind of made it up like Jerry Sr. was going to be like, you know what, we're going to like work hard on this. We're going to like, just get a couple weeks off, do some good PR, yada, yada, yada. And then we're going to be back, back and good as new. And then he found out some gay stuff, and then he totally stabbed Bob and Jim in the back. Not Bob, Jim in the back, which is like he really hates the gay stuff because he's secretly gay. That's probably why he was so against all the gay stuff.
What?
Because he was secretly gay the entire time. He was gay all along. So Jerry Falwell Sr. stabbed his buddy in the back. And I guess and then their empire fell. And stuff like that. And we went back to, and then Tammy, Tammy was, before I get into other things, it was hard for me to determine if I thought Tammy Faye was hot. So I tried looking at pictures of Tammy like in real life, and I was like, I don't know if I'm turned on by this, because I know she had an affair and stuff like that. But she was played by Jessica Chastain, who is hot. We all know who she is hot. I would buy her underwear. And so it was very confusing. I'm like, do I find her hot or not, or whatever? It was a weird thing. But I think, but this movie it was interesting because, like I said, I didn't know much going into this on the idea of who Tammy Faye was. I knew she was just like televangelist and stuff like that, but she was actually genuinely a good person. That's what the vibe I got from this movie, that, Tammy Faye was a genuinely good person even after, because, they had the big, like, she talked to like a minister who had AIDS and was openly gay and stuff like that. And she would be like, you know what? I really hate that we hate all the, homosexuality and stuff like that. We hate that, like homosexuals or whatever. I think that we should show them God's love. I think she genuinely had the great mindset of like, at least a lot of like openly gay Christians today. I think she had she had the right mindset. And, they try to make a big deal, like Jerry Falwell Sr. was going to be like, you got to fix your wife, Jim. It's like, never was fixed. And she, like, still today was seen as, like, a big gay Christian rights activist or whatever. Like, she's still seen well today. And it's good, you show, like, her good side. She struggled with pills, and that's what all rich people. If rich people are going to struggle with a drug, it's either going to be cocaine or pills. And, I don't think pills are as fun of a drug. It just kind of like chills you out. Not enough for me. Like, not as much as other drugs. That's a me opinion. But she had her struggles. She almost died from pills. Which, how much do you have to take pills? I guess that's why I've never really gotten pills correctly, because I haven't taken enough. I think that's probably I just realized that in my head right now, that when I've tried to experience with pain pills, I'm not addicted to pain pills every way. I've tried them a couple times, you have a bottle, you hurt yourself or whatever. Doctor gives you a couple, and then like you're feeling better, and then you're like, I have these extra ones lying around. It's like, hey, let's have a beer in that, It's like, it's probably because I haven't taken that much. So I just figured that out on the show but no, I think, Tammy Faye is really interesting because Tammy Faye's, I feel like, is actually a pretty good person. And I think it showed her in a good light in this. They showed some weird shit behind Tammy Faye, but, overall, I think they really showed Tammy Faye in like a good light. Hey, you just finished one of the many, many highlights from Cancel Schweezy. We got plenty more on the channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you like what you just watched, go ahead and smash that like button as well. Go subscribe for more so we can teach you how to be a better human in our world. So yeah, stay awesome.